It is Thursday. It's the 2nd of May. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Making news today. Kenneth Bae went to North Korea as an American tourist. He was then arrested and more recently convicted for crimes only described as serious by the notoriously secretive regime. North Korean state media say Bae has been sentenced to 15 years hard labor by the country's Supreme Court. A Facebook vigil has been set up in support of the American. The headline reads, "Remember Ken Bae, detained in North Korea." A criminal or a bargaining chip in a diplomatic feud? Well, CNN senior international correspondent Dan Rivers joins us now from Seoul, South Korea. And Dan, again, not much is known about what these alleged crimes are that Kenneth Bae is supposedly to have committed.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all assume it's some tiny minor infraction, if anything.
We've seen this happen before with the arrest and conviction there in the past of two American journalists, again, who were in North Korea. We saw high-level dignitaries, including the former president, Bill Clinton, go to North Korea to appeal for their release. How much of this is people saying that this is what the North Korean leader wants, attention from the U.S.?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had incredibly high...
in Seoul. Let's bring you up to date on some of the other stories that we're following here on News Center. It was the worst drought to hit East Africa in 60 years. Now, a UN study says humanitarian agencies in Somalia in 2011 were too slow to react. Researchers found that between October 2010 and April 2012, over 250,000 people died. More than half of them were children under the age of 5. The government of Chad says security forces foiled an attempt to overthrow Idris Deby as president of the African country. Media reports say an opposition lawmaker and several military officers have been arrested. The government says the suspects spent 4 months preparing to stage a coup. The man accused of trying to poison the U.S. president is in court this Thursday. Authorities say American James Everett Dochka sent ricin-laced letters to Barack Obama, as well as Senator and a judge. There's no known antidote to the poison. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Health says 5 people there have died from a new SARS-like virus. It says 2 other people who've contracted the respiratory virus are still in intensive care. 90s rap star Chris Kelly, one half of Chris Cross, has died. Kelly and partner Chris Smith shot to fame with the 1992 hit Jump, which spent 8 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. Kelly was found unresponsive at home. The cause of his death is not yet known. Chris Kelly was 34. Sentenced to death but killed by prisoners. India's Prime Minister is demanding justice from Pakistan after an Indian inmate was killed in prison. Pakistani authorities say Sarabjit Singh, a spy, died of a cardiac arrest after being hurt in a, quote, scuffle last week. Simon Morrison joins us now live from Islamabad. Simon, what more do we know about what happened at that time?
Well, very little so far, Monita. As you say, the Pakistan Foreign Office is referring to this as a scuffle.
Right, Simon, thank you for that. Simon Morrison there reporting to us live from Islamabad. She was just 4 years old, but at that young age, she has become yet another statistic in the gruesome crime plaguing India, rape. And her family's ordeal doesn't end there. Ram Gopal reports. Workers in the clothing sector in Bangladesh returned to work on Thursday. Large parts of the industry had stayed closed since the factory building collapsed more than a week ago, killing hundreds of garment makers. On Wednesday, throngs of mourners attended a funeral for 32 unidentified victims of the tragedy, their bodies unclaimed. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Did the perpetrators who planted bombs in Boston act alone, and could they have had outside help in avoiding arrest? Stay with us for the latest from the investigation. Welcome back. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. I'm Monita Rajpal. We've got some news for you just coming into CNN. A British man who was found guilty of selling fake bomb detectors to security services around the world has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for fraud. There are new arrests which have been made in connection with the Boston Marathon bombings. 3 friends of the suspect in custody are charged with blocking the investigation. The 19-year-olds appeared in a U.S. court on Wednesday. 2 of them are from Kazakhstan. They are Brian Todd, who joins us now live from Boston. And Brian, do we know how authorities were able to get or make the link between these suspects to the one already in custody?
That's a very good question, Monita. You know, they were first rounded up on April 19th. That was the day that
Thank you very much for that. Brian Todd reporting to us there live from Boston. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. The European Champions League final is all set after German giants Bayern Munich powered their way into the record books. Let's bring in Amanda Davis with all the action live from London. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, yeah, I think it might be a bit of a problem to get a flight from Germany to London in about 3 weeks' time, as both Bayern Munich and Dortmund will be squaring up at Wembley at the end of May. And if they
It certainly does. I was actually just thinking, I don't remember what I did when I was 12 years old. Certainly wasn't doing anything like going on golf tours or being some sort of, you know, sporting phenom, that's for sure.
It's certainly an incredible way of life, you know, travelling on a professional sports tour. We see it a lot in tennis as well. And, yeah, the support of some good parents always helps, I think, in that scenario.
Indeed. All right, Amanda, thank you very much for that. I'm actually glad I had my childhood, though. That's all good. Amanda Davis there in London, thank you. Now, weather extremes in the United States, while parts of the country dig out of the heavy snow, others are battling with high temperatures, wind, and even wildfires. Meteorologist Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center with all those details. Hi, Mari.
Pretty intense weather extremes here across the U.S. Let's go ahead and go right to the pictures. I want to start you off.
All right, Mari, thank you very much for that. And before we go, Ernie from Sesame Street used to sing love songs to his rubber ducky. So we can only imagine what he would have done when he saw this. This giant rubber duck is currently floating in Hong Kong Harbor, and it's causing plenty of excitement here in the city. The inflator. You're watching CNN News Center. I'm Monita Rajpal, live at CNN Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us. We'll update you the news headlines in just a couple of minutes.